If you cannot keep your areas under surveillance, you will be paying for them in blood. There were gaps because we do not have the kind of sensors available which could tell us that the post had been occupied. The only way that we could come to know that someone had come to the post was by sending patrols, and that is what we did, and that is where that very, very sad and tragic incident of Captain Saurabh Kalia and his patrol party happened. We lost a very, very fine officer.
You were talking about how you stopped the Kargil War. Tell us about that.
The Kargil War was more than a military victory. It was a turning point in India's national security. It exposed critical gaps in intelligence, logistics, and operational execution, while showcasing the extraordinary courage, resilience, and professionalism of the Indian Armed Forces. 26 years later, the lessons of Kargil continue to influence how India prepares for future conflicts. In this episode, we are joined by Brigadier Devasheesh Chowdhury to revisit one of the defining conflicts in India's military history.
Hi, welcome to Dark Matter. Hi, sir. Right off the bat, it's been 26 years since Kargil. What is that one takeaway that the Indian Army has taken from this localized conflict?
I think the biggest takeaway of the Indian Army has been what Thomas Jefferson said: the price of liberty is eternal vigilance. If you do not, and if you cannot keep your areas under surveillance, you will be paying for them in blood. And actually, that is what happened when we lost the heights in 1999 to the Pakistanis.
Can you, sir, elaborate on this in terms of what do you mean by civilians? What kind of gaps there were? And have we actually addressed those gaps, or do they still exist?
Right. Remember 1999, there was a different relationship between India and Pakistan. While Pakistan was supporting terrorism, there was a feeling that things would be going okay. If you remember, Vajpayee had made his very famous Lahore trip in the bus which had taken place there. These places, which are the heights of Taloling and Mashku and other places, they are quite high. And there was an unwritten deal between India and Pakistan that in winters, these posts which are existing, they become untenable. And they were winter vacated. The posts would have again been occupied somewhere in the summers. However, taking use and taking advantage of the fact that these posts were not available, the Pakistanis moved their North Light Infantry, the NLI troops, to occupy these posts somewhere in late winters and early 1999. The gaps, yes, there were gaps because we did not have the kind of sensors available which could tell us that the post had been occupied. The only way that we could come to know that someone had come to the post was by sending patrols. And that is what we did, and that is where that very, very sad and tragic incident of Captain Saurabh Kalia and his patrol party happened. We lost a very, very fine officer. And it was only the people, the goat herds, who, when they were coming down from the hills, who gave input that there was some kind of occupation of the posts by the Pakistanis, which was then reacted to by us. Today, there is a big difference. There's a very, very big difference. You remember, it was post 1999 that there were a lot of RMA took place in the Indian Army. And the intelligence setup was completely revamped. And we developed that DIA, which came up later. And this is where the intelligence agencies, because there was intelligence available. But remember, intelligence, if it is not processed, is only information.
Correct.
So information has to be processed to call it intelligence. And now you got sensors, you got drones, you got FPVs which are there, which can tell you if there is any kind of infiltration or if there is any movement which is there. That time we didn't have that. And that is the difference.
And so mountain warfare by its nature is one of the toughest battlefields, right? क्या जो अभी जो government है, they're saying, smart fencing, yeah, intelligent fencing. Do you really think that can be done? या फिर we will always remain on the back foot?
Now remember, when you are having a terrorist attack onto you, you may neutralize 100 of them. You may stop 100 of them. But even if one chap gets through and he is able to achieve part of his nefarious activity, it is considered कि वो जीत गया. We can keep doing whatever we want, but remember, there is nothing called foolproof security. The Chinese, they built the Great Wall of China, thinking that they will be keeping the Huns out. They forgot to look inside. Never was the Great Wall of China crossed. It was only because the doors were opened from inside and they just walked in. So, foolproof security is not what exists, it's always a mirage. You got to keep changing, keep updating, keep evolving. And yes, if you can do all that and you can do it in layers, you will be able to achieve a very, very substantial stopping of these infiltrators and whatever they want to do.
And so you touched upon similar drones are the new game changers, right? And mountain warfare. I'm not sure कि mountain warfare में कितना drones are that important, but can you like shed some light in terms of drone warfare specifically for mountain warfare?
Now remember, हमारे जो शादियों में आते हैं photographers भी लेते हैं वो भी drones होते हैं. And drones are today what everyone is seeing on the television screens, where you have the Russians and the Ukrainians who are attacking each other for the last 4.5, 5 years now. You just had the Gulf War, Iran-US war, where drones have been used in a large number. And these drones have been used by Iran very, very effectively, which was not even anticipated by the NATO and US. However, mountains have got a very, very peculiar problem. One of the biggest problems is the lack of oxygen there. The lift which is available to the drones in the plains will not be available there in the mountains. Hence, you have to have drones which are specialists for the mountains, which can fly at heights above 15,000, 16,000 above the mean sea level. That also means that their communication is interrupted because of the peaks and the valleys which are there. It also means that the clutter which is there for the radars will increase. It is not very easy to always detect a drone which is coming to your way. So these are the drone warfare. I'll not go deeper into it because it's a complete session by itself. But understand that yes, drones are very effective for surveillance, for targeting your deep areas, your ammunition dumps, your gun areas, and everything which exists. However, they have to be modified for the high altitude. And accordingly, if you're making your drones like this, you got to develop your counter drone measures also.
Correct. I was just about to come to that, sir, because everybody, every single person, every narrative right now is about drones, drones, yeah, drones, yeah, drones, yeah. And I personally feel drones are overrated. And I hardly find someone talking about anti-drone systems. So we are aware कि vehicle-based होता है, man-portable होता है, man-pads होता है. Which kind of equipment for anti-drone systems do you think work for mountain warfare?
See, there is nothing called a silver bullet. There has to be everything. You require the vehicle-based systems also because they give you depth, they give you range, they give you much bigger capabilities. You require the man-portable systems also, MPADs, which is now being called, because you require to engage these drones right at the front line where your guys are sitting. You require the man pack in case you are moving them out for patrols to a different place, from different place. Remember, every equipment has got its own characteristics
Correct.
as well as its own limitations. Somewhere we go wrong where we understand only the characteristics, the capabilities. We got to understand the limitations. And limitation of one particular equipment has to be overcome by the capabilities of the other one to get a totally seamless coverage, whether it is your detection coverage or it is your engagement coverage. Remember, just like terrorists, even a single drone can come and disrupt what you thought was important. Today, the war is not about destruction, it is disruption.
Got it. And sir, similar tactics have been used in, like you said, rightly said, Russia, Ukraine, Iran, US, for future localized conflicts, maybe with anyone, without naming anyone. Where do you think the Indian industry is, and where do you think the government policies are? Are they aligned, or are there still gaps there?
It's a very, very fascinating question. I was also in the same forces, wearing the same uniform, and I always required a thing as of yesterday. There is a problem. From the user's perspective, the industry is not able to deliver immediately. So they look at the easiest option out, that if something is available in the world, you purchase it
Off the shelf.
off the shelf. Today, drone warfare is changing every week. Anytime you get something off the shelf from abroad, you will not be able to evolve along with the drones, your counter drone systems. So you require to get your in-house R&D. In-house R&D costs money, costs time. So there is a problem of the industry delivering a particular equipment in time because they got involved in the R&D. What does the user do? Now we come on to the government policies. The government is doing a lot of good work. There is a lot of changes in the defense acquisition procurement systems and all those kind of things. However, it is still a big bureaucracy which exists. And most of the difficulties is not because of identifying the vendor who can deliver or the system which is required, but most of the vulnerability is because of the time gap taken even for placing an order once the RFP has been issued. It takes almost 1 year to 1.5 years. Then you have things like price negotiation. I understand we are not a very rich country where we can afford to throw away money. But again, there has to be a balance which has to be drawn. South Korea, look at how they developed their own R&D. You go, you have 50% of whatever you require immediately from abroad, but get the rest 50% given it to the Indian industry, especially the IDDM. The need of the day is IDDM. If I cannot design, develop and manufacture in my country, I'm already lost.
I think IDDM probably deserves at least 2 ghante of your time, sir.
Absolutely. IDDM is a totally different ball game and a different session altogether.
Correct, correct. So we'll circle back to Kargil. So in terms of the learnings from Kargil and the conversations that are happening right now is, um, the the way the Indian Army and the Air Force could work together or could have worked together, the outcome could have been something different or faster, right? And we're also talking about the theater commands and everything that might be panning out in the next 6 months. What are your thoughts on that?
Absolutely. Remember, I am a product from National Defense Academy, and this was a joint services institution which was created so that we could have synergy between the three forces, that is the Army, Navy, and the Air Force. Unfortunately, over a period of time, that synergy slightly shifted to arm-centric or service-centric. We did not use all our three services in all our previous wars that we had. Something or the other always came up, but whenever we could use them, you see what happened in 1971, because Navy, Air Force, Army were together. The establishment of CDS, which happened, was a very, very important step. Now, I know it was actually protested against by all the three services, and this is where I credit the government for doing a very good job where they pushed it and they said this will be done. And now is again the theater command. See, it's a very, very natural thing. Even जब हमारे घर में शादी होके जब बहू आती है ना, तो सास को लगता है कि नहीं वो मेरी जगह ले रही है.
Correct.
This turf war is always going to be there. Somewhere we have to now start looking at the national interest. Getting an integrated theatre command is the right step. There are issues going to be there, but then कौन सी बहू आई है जिसको घर में प्रॉब्लम नहीं हुए?
There's a saying na कि friction usually brings two people together. So I think the friction will probably bring all the services together.
The services are already together.
Acha.
Services are already together. There is not a problem of services together. It's a mindset which has to come together, where we have to act together. Personally, I have course mates in Army, in Air Force, Navy. We are all one. We look at the same angle, we look at the same place. The mindset has got to be changing. One more thing I would like to add here, Divyam. While we talk of integration with services, which will be easy to achieve, war is not only restricted to the defense forces. It is a complete sum of all nation effort. I require to have the same level of integration with my paramilitary forces, with my belted forces, my police, my fifth line, even down to my students of NCC and the citizens of the country. The citizens of my country are brilliant. Whenever required, they have stood up with the forces. But I will require them integrated to do a particular job. It cannot be ad hoc. We have to look at this integration when we go on to the future warfare.
And sir, if I may, was Operation Sindoor a culmination of everyone working together, या फिर it was something else?
Operation Sindoor was actually a very, very good sign of all of us working together. However, remember, Operation Sindoor lasted only for 4 days.
Correct.
It is नए नया जो मुल्ला होता है वो जोर से अजान पढ़ता है. It is only when the long time, when you start working regularly together, when you learn that there is going to be a strife. Here you knew after 5 days, 6 days or 7 days you're going to go back to your own turf and your own fiefdom.
Understood. Understood. So circling back again to Kargil, I mean, that's something that has always fascinated us and the country as well. Are there any key learnings that are still, I would say in the back of your mind कि ये चीज अभी तक सॉल्व नहीं हुई है या फिर ये चीज सॉल्व हो रही है but the turnaround time or the speed is too slow because I mean you've been in the forces for more than I think 30 years, right? 35 years. And there must be something, दो तीन चीजें जो आपके back of mind में you probably not keeping you awake, but you're always thinking about it on a regular basis.
Can we slightly divert from what your question is to what the statement you made? The new generation, how much do they know of Kargil?
I would say nothing.
Because nowhere has Kargil ever been taught in any school or new education policy. The new generation, what do they know about the organization of the armed forces? I go to the market and they ask my name and I say I'm brigadier. They do not know what a brigadier is. I'm not saying, there's a big debate, conscription hoga, ye hoga, karna chahiye ki nahi. But the basic military knowledge should be imparted in every school. NCC is a step in the right direction, but NCC is very limited. In a school of about 8,000 or 9,000 children, you have only 120 children who are cadets. What about others?
So can you just explain your NCC? मतलब, how does it work? And when you said it brings your character, मतलब, character development and all of that, can you just shed some light on
Right.
that?
So NCC actually is the largest volunteer force in the world. In our country, the complete country is divided into 17 NCC directorates.
17.
17. And each directorate has got a number of states under it. So you have the vacancies which are given, and every vacancy is then distributed to the schools and the colleges.
Okay.
Students who are keen on joining, it's voluntarily, like I told you, it's not compulsory. The students who are keen to join NCC, they apply for it. There's a form which is filled every academic year before they start. And they are put through I will not say rigorous, but there is a testing method which is established. And only once you clear the test, that you are selected into NCC. Once you are selected, you are given military training, which includes drill. Now, drill, people think, or the civilians think it is just a impad, but drill is actually the bedrock of discipline. To order, obey commands immediately, instantaneously, that is what you learn from drill. You are put through your military tactics, your military subjects, very basic, but yes, at least they know. They are interacting with the soldiers. Their commanding officer is of the rank of a colonel. They got the group commanders who is brigadier, and they got an ADG, normally with the rank of a major general. The cadets are interacting with them regularly. The confidence that they get when they talk to the senior officers, when they project themselves, you got a month-long PM rally, Prime Minister rally, which is held, which culminates in a PM rally show. Normally on 28th of January, 2 days after you have the NCC cadets marching on Kartavya Path during Republic Day. They bring about something which is totally what is an antithesis of the normal students of a college. I was very lucky. I managed to organize some employment fairs for the NCC cadets. And I had people coming from Tatas and Taj and everyone. And the CEOs came up to me and they said, "Sir, we waste our time grooming these people when we get them. You are already giving us pakaya material." They know how to talk, they know how to walk, they know how to dress. They are a big advantage for the corporates who are actually looking to hire these kind of people.
So NCC is can anyone join, or is it college based, or how does it work?
Right. While every college and school has got vacancies, however, there are open vacancies in case your school or a college does not have NCC. You can go up to the nearest NCC unit and you can request that you wanted to be part of NCC. Then you come onto an open vacancy. You are affiliated with a school or a college for that particular duration for the NCC classes, and you go and you attend that.
And what are the benefits, matlab, except for discipline and thoda sa character development and all?
I don't think there is looking for anything else which is a benefit other than discipline, character discipline. However, in this particular case, for every certification that you get A, B, and C certification. For a C certificate, you are exempt from a number of written examinations. You straight away go for your interviews, SSB interviews, for example, your entry into which is there. And a large number of cadets, they get into even UPSC selections and all, which take place because of this habit of being responsible for your actions. For anything else, if you want to know the benefits of NCC, my recommendation is go onto the internet. Everything is given out there and what you can do.
So we'll add a link to the NCC website where you can check out all the information. And probably if you're a college going viewer, please do some
Anywhere,
research.
if you are class 8th onwards, please join, or at least request to join NCC.
And so are there any other programs so where the civilians and the military can have a conversation?
There are lots of programs which are now taking place. There is Know Your Army Melas which take place where army equipment is shown to the cadets. When I was the commander, I had a 2 days camp where the schools, I had 9 school children who were coming and they absolutely saw how does a barrack look like, how does the cookhouse look like, khana kaise banta hai, kaun sa khana milta hai. That was something which they were very, very happy with, satisfied with. And again, it was not only for the senior classes. There are lots of other things which are happening. The interaction between the students and the armed forces is something which should not be taken lightly.
Correct. I totally agree with you. Before we wrap up the session, sir, I have 2 more questions. The first one is obviously if you were an advisor to the government, what are the 3 things that from your experience you would like to recommend to the government and the industry probably? Next level के लिए हम क्या करना चाहिए?
My recommendation to the government is that please ensure that whatever procedural changes you are applying on paper, that should be reflective on the ground.
Okay.
That change, again, like I said, the change in mindset is very, very important. To the industry, please put your resources into R&D as well. Do not buy off the shelf from outside and call it Make in India. It is not Make in India. It is just constructed or whatever you want to call it in India.
There's a slang that people use now, import bahadurs. I don't know if that's the right word or not. Understood, sir. And sir, last question. I mean, you were talking about how you stopped the Kargil War. I mean, can you tell us about that?
That's a joke. I was supposed to be reporting to Kargil, and just half an hour before I was supposed to get on the train, Punjab Mail from Devlali. I was instructor in Devlali that time. Ceasefire was called by Musharraf. So I always claim that he came to know that I was coming to Kargil, and he said he can take on the complete might of Indian Armed Forces, but not me. And he declared ceasefire. However, if you have got some time, I would like to just add one small incident. We always feel that our citizens are not patriotic enough. Our patriotism only wakens on 15th August and 26th of January. It's not so. I was going to catch this train. My parents were in Pune that time. We were told only a night before that we have to go. I gave a call to them. We remember we didn't have the mobiles and all in 1999.
This was Kargil, during Kargil.
During Kargil. I was supposed to go the night and I gave a call in the morning. And they said, I'm leaving. So they said, we'll come and see you off. My dad also, I'm a 4th generation Fauji, so going into war is not an emotional thing. It was never an emotional thing. They started from Pune. Someone told them, don't take the main route that is crowded, take the shortcut. They took the shortcut. The road was bad and the vehicle totally broke down. My mother started crying. 3 young guys came on a motorcycle. They asked my mother, Auntie, why are you crying? And she said, Beta, mera beta Kargil ja raha hai. Gaadi kharab hogi, hum ja nahi payenge. So first they picked up my parents from there and they took them to a dhaba kind of a thing there. They said, "Aap khana pina khao, hum dekhte hain." About 3 to 4 hours, the vehicle was ready.
And these are total strangers.
Total strangers at a place where no facilities existed.
Middle of nowhere.
Middle of nowhere. They came. My father was very, this thing. He said, Beta, how much do I pay you? They said, Uncle. They gave a phone number and they said, our payment will be made when you go reach Devlali and you just give a call on this number and say, Beta, we have been able to see of our son. This is what my country is. This is what my citizens are. They are amazing people and I don't think, even if I had taken 7 births, I can get into a better country. That is what drives us as armed people to do the biggest sacrifice that you can make.
Thank you so much for taking out time and telling us all these important insights from your experience, sir. I think the NCC, the Kargil would say addressing the gaps and the learnings that we've received. I'm sure our viewers will love it. And thank you so much again. Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much for having me here. Wish you all the best.